The show tonight, we're going to be discussing some contemporary issues happening in and around the country. And with us is our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee, who will be breaking it down from Monrovia. Also, right here in Atlanta, Georgia, is Mr. Thomas Awadjie. So, Mr. Glee, let's start with you. Has things happened in Liberia? Let's start with what happened between President George Weah and Jonathan Pilele, and how all things have played out, and what is the how is this issue being discussed right there in Monrovia? First, give us a rundown of what transpired.
All right. Basically, there was a program that was well attended by dignitaries. And during the program, when the president had the time to address the forum, he said that Mr. Pilele, serving then as head of BBC in Liberia, never spoke positive about him. So after the program, Pilele took it back, and he went on several radio stations asking dignitaries to get clarity from the president. And mind you, this is the president that is well loved by the Liberian people. To have problem with an individual, Jonathan Pilele was very careful to know that maybe probably someone else will harm him or someone could revenge him because the president is angry, so he needed clarity. But he did not receive the clarity from Ministry of Information or PUL. No one spoke about it until the next time we heard that Pilele was out of the country, seeking asylum. So as a full-time lecturer, I took this issue to my class, both ANEU and the University of Liberia, and I asked students their view, and they all gave that very view concerning the issue. Some of the students said Mr. Pilele should have done much by getting to other elders like Zanzan Kava, the chief elders, the chief do, so that they can settle. But taking it outside of the country, seeing a dark cloud over this government that is just 4 to 5 months old. And others say, hey, issue with journalists and other people having issue with government. We saw other people dancing on the beach. Yes, like the guy who raised the issue of the Mekan whistleblower, and also Howard G. So, but every time you raise issue and you and the government having problems, sooner or later you're going to get into problems. So it went like a wildfire, especially when Jonathan Pilele went out of the country. So when you see from Front-Page Africa, the guys had their own style of story, because let me be very objective. In every government that has just taken power, other people will still have the time to fight the reality that, hey, this guy we contested against, he has won. And it's not true. But after some time, they're going to get away that it's a 6-year thing. So I don't think you're going to get angry for 6 years. So that was the issue. So when you see how
before we get
from Africa, and he spoke about it.
Before we get to your analysis, Mr.
Hello?
Glee. Yeah, Mr. Glee.
Yeah.
Before we get to your analysis, I understand that Jonathan Pilele was asking questions about war crimes in Liberia.
Yeah. Yeah. It was during the time that it was a forum addressing the question. It was when the president made that particular statement. And
so
for me,
is it clear now in Monrovia that Jonathan Pilele left because he's fearful for his life? Is that the news around town? Yeah,
it's clear around town that he left because he was afraid for his life. And the sad part about it, the clarity from the Ministry of Education Information make bad matter worse. Instead of giving the clarity, if I was the president or the one representing the Ministry of Information, I would say that, look, Jonathan Pilele, you are free citizen. You can live in Liberia. In fact, we'll give you security to live here because I don't think we ask for you. But when the Ministry of Information came up with this clarity, linking Jonathan Pilele that he was supporter of NPP or chancellor-led government to make that matter work. So why can't you give the clarity about the issue that man? Why would you try to link it to chancellor and everything? So meaning there is some bigger picture behind this thing. And I felt it was just an error on the part of the government. I don't think the government has any intent to say that they want to kill Jonathan Pelele, because the president does not have such history or such record for his days on the field and as a peace ambassador and also as a senator. He does not have such history. But mind you, this government, other things can happen when the power is there.
Right. And what Pelele expressed was perhaps his supporters will harm him. But let me talk to you, Mr. Awadjie. You are very busy on the internet and where most of these issues are being discussed. So from your own analysis on the Pelele factor, what really do you think is going on here? Is his fear for his life well-founded, or is he making things up?
Well, Dennis, I'm not 100% abreast to the situation regarding Mr. Pelele and the president or the Liberian government. But I think that the situation was very unfortunate. But I think one thing that the president should know and understand is that being at war with the press is not a good thing for any president. You know, we're dealing with the same thing here with President Trump. Going to war with the press is not a good thing for any administration to do. We had a situation here during President Obama's first term, where there was an incident where there was a very well-known writer, Dr. He was arrested in his own home by some white police officers in Boston. The president came out, then President Obama came out and made a statement that the cop did some things in a stupid manner.
Yeah.
And that created a whole backlash on him about that as far as the press. So what he did was he contacted both Dr. Gates and the police officer, and he invited them over to the White House, and they had something where they call a beer summit, where they were able to sit down and have a conversation over a beer, you know, a couple of beers, you know. So I think that, you know, in order to kind of set the tone, if the president wants to set the right tone, you know, I would love to see where the president could possibly reach out, you know, to Mr. Pelele, you know, and say, look, come sit down, let's have a conversation, you know, invite the press, let's have a conversation or something like that. And I think this thing can be ironed out. Was his life, does he feel that his life is in danger? Well, I don't know. I don't know, but obviously something must have transpired to make him feel that way in order for him to flee the country or to leave the country. But I think that this is something where I think the president just needs to set a tone, because right now, a lot of people in Liberia, especially the media, you know, with some of the things that are happening, you know, lately, you know, a lot of people are concerned. A lot of people are concerned, especially you know, people in the media. So I think this is something where the president should step up and set the tone and get together with these guys, you know, invite Mr. Pelele over. And I think they just need to have a constructive dialogue.
Right. And another way could be he simply clear the air, because if this man is asking for, if he's asking for clarity, go ahead and clarify, or go ahead and set the record straight that we are not after your life. And it was just an exchange, just as any president and the press will do. But going on and withholding that information and linking that to the days of Charles Taylor, as Mr. Glee said, made bad situation even worse. Let's shift gear a little bit on another issue, and because it's which involve Front Page Africa. Mr. Glee, right there in Monrovia, there was a day when we woke up that police security officers were sent to Front Page, and they closed the paper for that day and hauled most of the employees to court. What's the story?
Like the situation with Front Page Africa,
What the law says.
like I would like to link Madame Sally to some things that happen in Liberia, and she just allowed sleeping doll out, and she just let it go. There are people, like one time I was speaking to my student and I said, if a dog is a man, it's not a spirit. But if a man decides to buy a dog, it's a spirit. What am I saying? There are people who try to look for recognition, and they will come up with sensational story and other things. There are ways to get at them. There are ways to find them, to call them and explain. But the issue of Front Page Africa, when we see it kind of down to give information, statistics about Jonathan Pereira and whatever that went on. Look, there are times if you could not give the clarity, allow this guy to go. But after he went, after he spoke about the issues surrounding the press and what's going on, the next day we saw the city major speaking about it, that he will not sit and allow people to talk down. Whether you are city major, we have information ministry that receive taxpayer money to give us information. You should be thinking how the city of Monrovia will be clean. But he went to get his press release, and he spoke about the issue and the way women is going and all the things he said, like during those days under the Parawa Hall. And at times we need to gravitate at a certain level when you get in government, your speech and your statement should resemble or should be a fit man speaking, and not like you say under the Parawa Hall. So after he made that, a normal taxes that businesses pay for garbage, whether you have private entity or you doing public entity, you have to pay that to City Hall. It was the tax he needed to pay. And after they sent the paper, and he said, oh, I'm doing private business and I'm private people taking my garbage now, City Hall now sending me paper. And in the same time, he had a defamation of character case with foremost an aspirant from CDC, I think either in Grand Kidman or Napoli, one of the places is where the guy from. So the guy had a civil lawsuit with them. And the civil lawsuit, I don't know to what level that it went to. It was just in the tune of the same week, like after one day when City Hall sent their paper and while they're talking about it, it was then when the police went and raided them. So the situation was, because he refused to pay taxes, people went to collect him. You know, in Monrovia, in Liberia, people you see with them finding all the time. So little did we know that it was defamation of character. It was a civil lawsuit. I don't know at what level that civil lawsuit will warrant closing of the business down and arresting all of the reporters and carrying them to the police. So when this issue came up, we just had the Jonathan Pereira issue a few days ago, and now we're talking about Rumi. So there are times you need to be careful. You need to, as a government that took over from someone who had a listening ear to the press, even though there was a day that she clashed with the press. But she allowed them to say what they had to say, what they wanted to do. Even though there was some minor contradiction at times, but she allowed them to take over. And right just like the brother rightly said, the press will be the one to sell the government or destroy the government by what the right in both electronic and print media.
So Randolph, Randolph, let's get this clear about the civil case involving the Front Page Africa and I think the government because the defamation of character, and then it went to you say taxes. So just get clarification. Did Front Page Africa owe the government taxes that they wanted Front Page Africa to pay, or was it a defamation lawsuit involving two citizens of the Republic?
No. Because when it first came out, when the arrest came out, Front Page Africa on Facebook put out taxes that it should have paid to City Hall. And it said after the city major spoke about them, about their heads running CA, it was just in short time that they send them taxes to pay. We suppose whatever you do, any business, Wall Street and everywhere, whatever you got private people taking your debt because they end debt, take the whole responsibility of the collective, you have to pay that taxes. So I found out from some of my boys who got their school on convention road. They said, oh, we all pay the taxes. But they made issue out of it. Where did we know that it was not City Hall that was arresting them for the taxes? No. But instead, it was a favor lawsuit with them. So because at a particular time when the ruling CAT case came, it became complicated with the taxes, and after certain measures just spoke, and later on the public the tax people on Facebook, on Front Page Africa page, that they were after them because of the taxes, and they got private people. So sometimes people use the limited understanding of people to make them, to push them against their own government.
All right.
So sometimes it was little clarity was made.
Okay, great. So if you're into the suspicion that the government could be behind it, because this is a civil law case, and normally there's a backlog of cases. How did that case come to the front for it to get for people to be taken into court right away? So those were kind of, people got little suspicious that the government could.
This is where, because if you check on when you check on the docket, there are a lot of cases. How can a case be like a 4G case? It's almost like Mountain case with an LPNC at the time doing Ellen, when Ellen decided to respect and stand up and she wanted to have some sacrificial line. In a split second, Mountain case was to court, and the next day we were talking about him being on prison bench, and later to find out that Mountain was innocent. So sometimes the government fights the cases in different form and faction. But I am not saying their hands are clean. But what brought Rooney C and his crew to creating a court was a civil law suit. But any rational person will ask, it is not possible that it just get on the docket very fast like that.
Right.
And some things must be behind.
That's true. And say that's kind of similar to sometimes what IRS does here in the US. But Mr. Awadjie, during the time, there are a lot of these things on the internet. People are expressing their views. That is it safe to say that the government is having some challenges with the press? Is the press intimidating the government, or is the government fearful of an independent press? What's your sense?
Well, number one, the press has a job to do. That's what the press does. The press can either print a favorable story of you, or they can print something that's not in your favor. But that's what the press does. But if the press feels that they're coming under attack, they're not going to back down. You know, we have experienced freedom of speech and freedom of press in Liberia for, the last 12 years, and those guys, they're used to writing whatever they want to write. Okay. As long as it's not anything that's, that will require, like I said, with the issue with this lawsuit. Okay. If this was a civil lawsuit, okay, that lawsuit should have been allowed to go through the court process. Right. But as far as just going in, shutting down the institution and arresting people there on the spot, it definitely seems like a government intimidation, and that's very concerning. But I think this whole thing with the press, people, like I said, people just need to understand the role of the press. The press, that's what they do. They have a job to do. They will write something good about you one day. They will write something bad about you the next day. And you just got to just learn to just handle that as an educated, civilized individual. But as soon as somebody says something negative about you in the paper, you take offense to it. The mayor, Mr. Koji should be focusing on his job at this point in time. He just got into office. He's got a long way ahead of him. There's a lot of work that has to be done in that city. And I think that he needs to stay more focused on that, instead of, if somebody in the press says something, he's jumping on that institution. He's got a tough job ahead of him. He's got a challenging job ahead of him, and I think that's what he needs to be focused on.
A tough job indeed. And so, Mr. Glee, is this affecting the popularity of the government in any way that they are having a run-in with the press?
No way. No way. Except for international level, or I really don't know, because this president is an athlete, one-time world best footballer. Was at the time when Liberia had nothing positive to talk about, he was the reconciler. So naturally, out of politics, he's just at the heart of the people. So he's not being. It's not like that. Even today, the final between Monrovia and how to call it, Bon County, he entered the field. It was like during those days when Sanado entered sports complex. And everywhere he goes, he's like that. So I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. It's very soon that we think people will go against that. But the only bad thing about it, I think we'll discuss it later on. People thought the prices and everything was automatic. I think it takes over after 1 week, everything will fall, like you put this switch on and switch off. But they are still popular with the people, and the people still love the government.
All right. If you are just joining us, we are discussing about current issues in and around Monrovia. On the phone is our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee. He's live from Monrovia. Right here from Atlanta is Mr. Thomas Awadjie. He's giving his perspective as well. And so, Mr. Glee, let's change gear from the bad news. Let's look at the University of Liberia, where you teach at the sociology department. I have learned that digital registration is now a reality, and also there has been a new computer lab at the university. Please tell us about the digital registration system and also the computer lab. I know that's good news.
All right. That is in my own domain, in my own area. The University of Liberia is taking a giant step forward. And this time, I would like to have more time to really download some information that people may not know. That a week is one agent of positive change in Liberia. Because the digital system was introduced, the vetting committee had about 9 different companies that they decided to go through this vetting process, to come and show your demo and see. Even there was a group from California, Jacob Diama calls in the kind of group, but they only have the entrance registration portal. And the University of Liberia wants a complete educational portal that we can do everything. The student can find their grades, the student can log in, the student can just everything you do when you are in the state or anywhere. So when they went through the process started before the election because they were trying to look for money to do that. So when the election was over, President Joshua said to the university, what are the 2 things the university needs? And one of those was the digital registration system from the student leadership. So he said he's going to make money in this coming budget for that particular process. So the bidding process, the guy presented 7 times, meaning in front of the board, in front of faculty senate, they did the presentation. And this particular group that won the bid, they call them Montana. I spent some time doing justice following the various groups that back there who went through the bidding process. When I went to Montana is like your own business. And the guys have a group now doing UMU. They did BW Harris, they did CWE, and they just won the contract for Salamari. So they've been in the contract for 12 years. The guy was history. And how to call it, NASCO, National Social Security. NASCO is building around because of the system the guys put into NASCO. The system will tell you how much they are going to receive this month and how much pensioner will receive, and what would be the balance. So instead of just keeping it, they invest in it because the system allows you to see everything.
Right.
And the University of Liberia, for the past 6 semesters, have received funding from 12,000 students. But at the end of the semester, they gave 19,000 grade sheets. Who controls the balance 7,000 in question? That was the $1 million question that could not be answered. Because the system we have is a system that was used sector decentral days. So with this current system, when you log on, when you pay your money, you don't have to stand in the queue that what we used to do. Normally, like what we do in the States, you just go online, plan all of your courses, all of the prerequisites are all there, and as long as you complete, you go and build. When you are billed, you go and pay the money, and as long as you pay the money, you will have a text message that you are paid, and your receipt will automatically be sent to you through text messages. Very simple and easy.
That's good.
The password, yeah.
No, I said that's good news because standing in line at the University of Liberia for registration, that's very hectic to even put it mildly. But so
very healthy.
What is the process to what are the plans to maintain it? Because sometimes these things come up, but then maintaining it and making it to grow becomes a challenge. What are the plans, if you know of any?
The first thing the guys did, they're going to have trainer workshop.
Okay.
But they have started. They're going to start tomorrow with those guys from the electronic department processing, EDP. They are training them. And besides that, they're going to also train students. They're going to train faculty. But besides training all that they're going to establish at the university, on main campus, they will have a center that 24/7 will be open. Meaning, Mr. Dennis Jan want to do his registration, he's unable. But he went to the EDP to do it. The guy's going for lunch. So he will just go to Montana Center. 24/7, the guys will be there. Either they follow what they say or they're going to help you to go through the system for you. So that's a system going to guys share. Because if it is not workable when EDP are not there, students will start complaining. And you don't want students staying jam up and fighting with it. Technology is not as open in Liberia like you think in America.
Right.
So guys will only use their phone to go on Facebook. But they refuse to even use YouTube that can allow you download some video on your topic, on your code, and that you can be up to the time. So the guys are there 24 hours to make sure that this is working. And I told the guy said, because Dr. Wick said, with this particular system, I don't need so much from government to step up professor salary because I will know what's coming in. So if you're telling me for the past 8-9 years, 9 semesters, we've been seeing 12,000 students registering, completing the registration process, and the other 7,000 thinking. Who are those that are getting rich out of that?
Right.
So with the check and balance system, you're going to find people who are against progress. They are not willing to see change because the change will not allow them to do the business as usual.
Right.
So they're going to stay against change. But I can tell you that this particular system will help the university. Now, you don't have to be running after people to know when you graduated. You can log on and see all of them.
See that. So how
many?
So I still believe there are some students that are beyond the digital divide. What is the population, or to what extent are students accessing these, or is it helpful to students? Can students afford to get on the internet and access this?
For now, what is happening? They're going to go hybrid this semester. And the reason they're going hybrid is very simple. What we have on the campus is not just math, no, compound complex math. Then a guy attended the university and he graduated, he left. The guys on the campus there will sell your ID to somebody.
I hope nobody saw my ID.
somebody start using your ID. So when the guys tried to do the check on the system, they saw one ID about 3-4 times. One ID about 3-4 times. So what they're doing now, and sometimes in the system when you go check, you will find Felicia Robert. But it will be that Felicia Robert is a male. When you know definitely Felicia Robert is a female. So what they're doing this semester, all of the pre-registration they did is all on the system now. But instead, there will be complete check from the department. Because there have been a lot of garbage that have been going on by other, I don't want to use that word, guys at the university, where students would not want to complete courses, but they just want to talk to them and change it in the system. So now, there is a complete change. So meaning, every grade that you have, the department have a raw grade, there will be verification. So the whole semester is all about verification. And as of next semester, the system will be in full swing.
Right, good.
Because so now,
you run those
now, because you're going to be fighting so many wars. Oh, my grade, I should be graduating December, they're telling me, I have.
All right, Mr. Glee. So that's we just lost Mr. Glee, unfortunately. We'll see that he's going to call back. But that's a good system to have. So, Mr. Awadjie, I don't know you had the opportunity. I don't think you had the opportunity to go attend the University of Liberia, but registration is a big deal.
Dennis, sorry, I didn't go. I didn't even go to high school in Liberia. So
yeah, I figured that out.
This is. I mean, it's welcoming news. You know, I mean, that technology is needed, and I hope that they can make that available to other colleges in the country as well. And I'm glad that your guest works there and what he teaches there, and I'm glad that he was able to provide so much in-depth information about it. And I think this is going to be great. I think it's an excellent idea, and I hope we'll be able to spread that to other colleges in the country as well.
That's good. Okay. If you are just joining us, we are discussing issues, that's topical issues in and around the country. We call that Around Liberia with Glee. And Mr. Glee is our Monrovia Bureau Chief. Mr. Glee, let's go to some bad news that have been happening, especially got to do with some horrible things that we've seen both on video and on the internet. It started with a lady who came from Minnesota, settled in Liberia, whose body was discovered in her house. Later, we saw the torturing video of Mr. John David by people believed to be security personnel of Sam Darby. Then later on again, we saw the murder or alleged murder of journalist Tyrone Brown. And we saw the police investigation and the press conference. So those are bad news. But let's start with the death of the lady who was murdered in her house and what has become of it as of now.
Mr. Jazz, I can just see that for free, Liberia, there is a lot of situations going on. And the situation is so much serious that we need to approach. And one of those issues that we need to approach is mental health. We have people. I am a social work professor. I did my own work with students, and we discovered 314 areas in and around Monrovia that people taking drugs. Your flourishing tube, your flourishing bulb, when you hang it out, the guys collecting and smoke the dust from inside. If you park your car, the exhaust, the smoke, the guys taking and smoking. It's not even stopping at the marijuana and other heroin and everything, not stopping them. Every grade center street have them bust and they see more boom at what the guys smoking.
Okay, Mr. Glee, so, tell me. Mr. Glee, you say the people are smoking the fluorescent light bulb, they grind it and they smoke it. They take the human bone, smoke it. The carbon monoxide from the they smoke it.
Yeah. So you can see that the growing population in Monrovia is a group they refer to as Zoto. Because why? The guys have been rejected by the community because of their behavior and other things that they are involved into. So such men, when he sees somebody like his mom and somebody around them with money, they are willing to do anything just to get at that particular person. So it's sometimes difficult to even get out of your house when it is 6, when it's 7, 8 o'clock. It's difficult. You will not be willing to get outside because the surrounding is terrifying. Especially coming from the States, they believe that there is a tree in Minnesota or Atlanta that is just buried in the U.S. So for this reason, when you come, they believe that the suitcases that you brought is just part of the U.S. and they're willing to kill you and get that money. So sometimes it's difficult. And because we don't have that proper mechanism put in place to do real investigation, it's difficult. Let's take, for example, when anything happens in America, the first thing the people grab is the electronic and check your call log. But that is not happening. Up to now, we have not received any sufficient information about what happened to that particular lady. Who killed her? Where is the suspect? I've heard nothing about it. Then you talk about the journalist, Brown. This guy, according to the suspect that was arrested, he said this man came to his house asking for somebody. He said he came to somebody. He said who the person, and he was not giving zero response. That's how he went inside for a teaching lesson. Even though I said here when you telling me that you're going for school in your house, I was wrong. But this guy flew up, according to him. And when they went through the process, that's how he started on multiple occasions. Then he said when he knew that the guy was there, he called the former police director, former EPS director, former immigration boss, Chris Matako, for advice. Chris has that photo, what he said, what happened. This guy later decided to take this guy and dump him by the wayside. He said it was in self-defense. Self-defense, why did you not call the police? But you have to take the body and go dump it elsewhere. So the player has become so terrified that sometimes the story that it's talking about, you don't even want to believe the story. And you don't actually know what is happening.
But Mr. Glee,
so just living in a neighborhood is just about race. Yeah.
Mr. Glee, I mean that story concerning concerning the lady, there's been no arrest made because I learned that her son or someone close to them, so there's no arrest.
Whether I have not, if there have been any arrest made, I really don't know about it, but it's not like that I know about that, like the way the Brown
is that a priority? Is the government or the security forces prioritizing those kind of issues?
No. It has to do with training. It has to do what you don't have, you can't give it. The guys need to go beyond that. You need to go above the mark. As the criminal increasing in their mentality, you need to go above the level. And now what you used to see in the States where you're going to see niggas thinking up on roof, it all happens around here, knowing that there is a ghetto and guys are smoking and doing everything around there. But the problem our security may not be trained to that not to be able to detect what has happened or what is about to happen. So basically, these are situations that continue to unfold daily when it comes to the lives of people in the community. Our police are not sophisticated when it comes to, they are not too mobile, that when you even call 911, that they will be able to reach you on time and to be able to give you that particular help.
And sometimes
they are there, everything is gone.
Sometimes they say their issue is they don't have gasoline in the car, or they don't have the logistics
to tell you they don't have gasoline. Yeah, to tell you they don't have gasoline. When anything you have to buy gasoline. So if I knew I would buy gasoline, then why should I call police? And how do you think you need to be taking salary? Why don't you give me salary when I need to buy you gasoline? Why we pay taxes to the government? It would be better that we be in a state where you don't have police and until you have police and tell me to buy gasoline.
Wow.
So these are challenges when it comes to the community and living here. You just have to be your own, sometimes keep in your confine, mind your business, and try to stay where you are.
So let's go to the journalist. who is this journalist? Who is the journalist that was Brown? Who is he? And what are the circumstances surrounding his death?
He's from Super FM that is owned by George Calando, one time IMPFL member, and who got a lot of businesses around here, gas station, airline, and law firm, George Calando. And he was there as a spokes writer. He was not a threat to the government. He was not one of those that the government would target. So this story, there is something just bigger picture that we all try to dig into, because the next person I want to hear from is the other lady that was arrested. Maybe probably she will give her version of the story. She will give her version of the story, but he's not one of those types of government, or he has been very vocal, or he got some sensitive document or the government won't. It's not like that. Somebody has to tell what's happening. So with the journalist, because it's like at the peak of every other discussion. So I believe the government, in short time, they were able to make 2 arrests in the process, and they keep digging, because this brought the government to the place to push the government against the war. Because we just have Canadian people that live in the country. We have Rooney place then reader. Then we have this journalist being killed and pushed out of a black jeep. Then we have the former PUL boss falling off and dying in Banga. So it was just a story behind until when the government made this arrest, at least it gave them a faith. They knew that it was not something premeditated or calculated by the government.
So, Mr. Awadjie, do this story make you fearful about going to Liberia? Or what is the sense of people here learning about these deaths, and some of them are very, very brutal?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying that it should make people be afraid. Let's touch on this the situation, the tragic situation with the lady from Minnesota. Unfortunately, this woman was allegedly killed by her own son, or a friend of her own son. So it was not a random killing, because she came from America, So I don't want people to really, I don't want people to really put that fear in their heads that, oh, because I'm coming from America, people will just be waiting to kill me. I don't think that's a fear that we should be putting out there. Like I said, she was killed by, like I said, it was not random. Okay, I haven't heard any stories about people returning home who are being attacked. So I don't think that's a widespread situation that's going on. I think it was something that happened by a relative. It was not a random thing. So I don't think that fear of people going home, I don't think that's a legitimate fear. So, but just speaking about with the police, I just think that there's a serious lack of training when it comes to the police in Liberia. I'm not in law enforcement, but for some of the things that I hear, I'm like, I can even consult with those people, and just to even give them proper training, proper knowledge, how to even look at a case, how to even make statements to the press. I heard somebody came out and made a statement to the press regarding the journalist the other day, and this so-and-so was said. But I just think it's a serious lack of training. So I don't know, is the government sending people overseas? They're sending officers overseas for training? Are they sending people from here to go over there and train the police officers? It just seems like there's a serious lack of training.
Right.
The tragic situation with this journalist. What was the relationship? What was the relationship between the journalist and this man? Did they know each other? How did they know each other? They said that this man didn't know this young man, but he killed the young man and drove the young man to his home. If you don't know the man, how do you know where the dead man lived? You go and take the dead man to his house. If you don't know the man, you don't know where he lived. You don't know anything about him. Okay. From some of the pictures that I saw, where the man was sitting in the police station, I don't know if that was before, if that's when they invited him in for an interview or after his arrest. But you saw this guy on Facebook on a picture in the police station playing with a cell phone.
Right.
That man could have been, deleted.
Ball game.
You know, he could have been deleting evidence. He could have been deleting messages. The police seized his cell phone to see who he talked to last before that journalist's death. You know, but did he have any kind of contact with this journalist prior to this man's death? You know, you let the man sit there with his cell phone. So that's what I'm saying. These are just some of the issues that raises concerns. You know, for me, as far as when it comes to investigating crimes in Liberia, you know, it's very concerning.
Concerning indeed. Last week on last week's show, we had a group from the Coalition for Justice in Liberia discussing war crimes. And one of the things I remember Mr. Bernard Goa said was, in as much as you have people that participated in the war that were responsible in high places, or in as much as Mr. Glee mentioned the Zogos, most of them were ex-combatants. And then now he also mentioned that another person who's wealthy and doing well now was also a former or member of either the IMPFL or the NPFL. So with people, their concern or the issue they raised that time was if people that really kill a lot are still around without being rehabilitated, or those who are responsible for some heinous crime being sent to court or sent to jail, or people who have been affected not getting the kind of counseling they need, we should expect these kind of things to happen in our society. What's your take, Mr. Glee?
Yeah, for me, you are right, and it's true. It's going to happen because this few days I had a talk with some official of government. The government is going around raiding ghettos and other places, and I told them, I said, you're wasting your time. They're almost like the baby mother period, where the child will be walking, he or she stump his or her toes and fall on the ground. Then the mother go and beat the ground instead of the rock that threw the child down. Why bust the ghettos? Because busting the ghetto is not the end of it. The guys can still get it anywhere. I think the target should be how you can reintegrate and reprogram those guys' minds. Addiction is like malaria, typhoid, like any other sickness you think about. This, you need to tell the guys to a center so you can deprogram their mind. Because they only tell you that the only way they can survive is on drugs. So instead of dropping them, you need to have a center for them. The guys are in every community. Every community. And the bad part about it, these are kids that grew up in the same community. Like, when you live in Ghanansville and Bannersville, and the kids grow right there in the Gomba. So they know you, know your name, know when you're home, know when you're out. So these are the issues when it comes to this particular group they refer to as they born in the community and they went back because of peer pressure, because they were areas exposed to drugs. We are not checking. You know, like in the States, it's difficult. My beer can be like anything when I get to the store to buy any alcohol, they're going to ask me for ID. But it's not here like that. In fact, in the community, drinking is like a sport.
It's sports.
Every other thing is like sport in the community. So, in the case, at a particular age, what to do around it. Yeah.
Mr. Glee, so is it possible that anybody, let's say if I have a beef with anyone concerning, could be any issue, is it possible or is it something that normally happens that you can go and pay one of these quote-unquote Zocos to go and maybe eliminate someone or pay someone, some criminal, to kill people? Is that an issue?
This man is like, if you first of all try to look at what low self-esteem is this guy in the community drawing water for people, and he goes and wash people's clothes to give him $25, $50. And you tell the guy, look, my man, I want you to get to this particular place. I'm going to give you $200. You have made a man's day. I will give you $400. You have made his day. But the better guys are trust in the community. These are people you need to take, put them to center, and try to reprogram their mind through a program. So every social problem there must be a social program to address that social problem. But if you're not thinking in that manner, breaking the ghettos, it won't help. The guy's going to put it in a pocket. They're going to ingest themselves with it for the day. Think, first of all, how do drugs enter the country? Where? And how it gets here. Go to Central Street. The guys are boss. All of our things great. For me, I said, midday, I'm going to go decoration day to Central Street because my father's grave is already bought. All of the goons gone. So maybe decoration day, I'll just look at one Zuko and give him money. And he enjoy it there. Maybe because my father born in his summer to have the decoration day.
So instead of
these are places we need to
so people are really, instead of treating the problem itself, they are treating the symptoms by raiding or ghettos. That's not. There's a question here from Dave Ja on Facebook, and that's for you, Mr. Glee in Monrovia. How is the issue regarding salaries of government officials being discussed and viewed in Liberia? Do government officials truly make the use that are being reported?
Yeah. Government officials make the amount that you guys hear. These are salaries that go to these guys. Those huge some. It goes to them. And nothing you can say about it because some went through the act of legislation, or I don't know how they came up with this salaries. But the very some you hear, representatives make 17, other people make 15, some make 20, some make 30. When others right in the community of who is daily. And you find somebody, like one of the corrupt things that are happening like you, I'm yet to understand why it's that. Why would you give me gasoline when I don't have car? Why would you give me gasoline?
I learned that
everybody in the place.
In the 70s, Mr. Glee, I learned there was a representative from Bond County because every representative should have a car. So, but he didn't have a car, but they gave him a license plate. So what he did was anytime he's going to work, he will hang his license plate on himself. So that's the thing.
Yeah. In the ministry, the guys are running the entity bus to go through, but they're still receiving gas plate. Why are you giving gas plate? They don't have a car. This is not entitlement. It's meant to bring you to work. If you have your private car, if you don't have the private car, they're going to give you gasoline. So where you going to put the gasoline? You don't put the gasoline. And there are a lot of issues here that we need to talk. So many things that is just a complete blending. Take for example, when you go to the bank, those of you that are in a state that send money to your people here, you send your money to Western Union there, and the government took up 25% of that money and convert it in Liberian dollar.
Really?
And when they convert it in Liberian dollar, like for me, the last time I went there to receive $600, $900, they did the percentages for that. I think the total Liberian dollar gave me like 30,000 and they gave me the balance money. What rate they gave me? They gave me 130 rate. And right outside, the rate was 139. And I saw a banker coming from Access Bank changing the money outside. What happened to my $9? The essence of policy is to alleviate, is to what prevent or keep. But if the policy you make is of no use, why is it that you're suffering your own citizens? Because the banks are getting rich every day on exchange. They tell you no 25 cents, no 25 cents. So when they do the percentage, all of the things in the 25 cents a day that you don't compare it stays with the bank. You know how much is 25 cents US? You know how much is 15 cents US? They say, oh, it's central bank order. So central bank have now gotten with other commercial banks to do the citizens. Look, we have a systemic problem in Liberia.
Right.
So we need some radical approaches to get out of it.
About those systemic problems,
that will take money from
Mr. Awadjie, talking about those systemic problems, it looked like our solution has been government.
Well, anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a big government type of person. I don't believe very much in government. I'm more of the private sector kind of guy. or going back to the issue that the other guests were just talking about. One of the biggest issues in Liberia is mental illness. He was at 100% correct about that. You had 14 years of a devastating civil war, okay, where half of the population were never rehabilitated. People who were involved in the war was never rehabilitated. I'm not a chemist, so I can't tell you what's in the filaments of a light bulb. I can't tell you what's in a human body bone. I can't tell you what's in the car exhaust. So I don't know who. I don't do drugs, but I don't know what drug user will be smoking. Human beings and the car exhaust and the filaments from a light bulb. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know anything about that. But those are just the mental illness issue, the high level of mental illness issue that's going on in the country. Okay, you have no mental health. You have no decent mental health facilities in the country. You raiding those ghettos and putting those people in jail. What is that going to do? It's not going to make a dent. It's not going to make a dent. Okay? You have drugs. Where are these drugs coming from? What kind of drugs are these people using on the streets? Where are these drugs coming from? Where are the border agents? Where's immigration? Where's the border patrol? Those are the kinds of places that people need to be looking at to see how these drugs get into the country. Nobody is taking drugs in the little zinc house in Clarendon. It's coming from somewhere, and it's coming to those neighborhoods. And these are the kinds of issues that these people really need to be taking serious look at, because you got a whole generation of these people coming up, a whole generation, and filling up the jails with them is not going to solve the issue. The people really need to start looking into mental health facilities to rehabilitate a lot of these people. You have to reintegrate these people. A lot of these people were never reintegrated into society after the war. So that's the reason why they're out there. I don't call them Zokos, but that's the terminology that people use for them. Yeah. These are people who need mental health. These are people who need mental treatment. These are people who need to be rehabilitated. The addiction is an illness.
Right.
Addiction is an illness.
And ostracizing them doesn't solve the problem. And I tell you, Mr. Awadjie and also Mr. Glee, I tell you, I personally had my own share after being affected by the war for so many years. It took me, when I arrived in the United States, it took me probably over 10 years before the fear of going through, because I've crossed so many checkpoints. It took me years before when I'm passing through a toll booth, for God's sake, I'm terrified. It took me years before that came out of me. So and I'm in one of the best countries in the world. I'm, well taken care of. So imagine someone who was affected by the war still lives in Liberia, where he was tortured, where his people were killed. What do you expect him to do?
Right.
With no help from anyone. And now they've been ostracized. We call them Zogos. We call them all the bad names. And even when you take the drugs away from them, you can't get bones from them.
Right.
And if they don't have graves to dig, they probably kill people to get their bones. So these are serious issues that we're talking about here.
Incredible.
But let's go to Mr. Glee. Let's go to some of the economic issues, because it being long now, the war has been over. There was 12 years of a stable government, but we look at the hardship on the people. Things are still very hard. Let's take a look at the exchange rate, prices of basic and essential commodities. We look at the transportation, farm to market roads, and all these things. What we refer to as pocketbook issues in the United States. How are the economic issues with the ordinary people in Liberia, Mr. Glee?
They have not changed, and that's been a possibility now, because one, we got over how many currency in our country? We got very short money. We got the long one. We got the US dollar. We got, when you get to Ghana, Secretary, and other places, they got the Africa's money that they use there. When you get to the other side, they use the Guinea money. Because we have multiple currencies it is difficult to determine what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, if you want to buy something and the person told you $10 US, you're going to convert whatsoever the rate will be. The person is going to determine it. There is no standard rate. So at the end of the day, prices get high. And as the price is getting high day by day, making life difficult, like transportation. There is no form of transportation that Ministry of Transport gives you. When a taxi takes you from GFA Road to Rela today for $20, the next day $25, the next day $30, the next day $40. When you say anything, you say, oh, the US rate. When you buy 25 kg of rice for $1,975, the next day you go is $2,050, $2,060. It tells you the US rate. And at the end of the day, those who see the rate are the consumers. Let's take, for example, businesses. If you buy 5 gallons of agro oil, the profit you get on a particular agro oil is the empty container. Do your survey. Ask any petty trader that sells agro oil retail, the profit they get is the empty container. The Lebanese, the Indians, those guys reach the place of knowing how many snaps or beer bottle of oil you're going to get out of that, and they charge the people with the price. So at the end of the day, the person sits in the market whole day and sell and only have the empty container to be the profit. What happens if they use $100? They have gone to the principle to go bankrupt. Because they are petty traders, they don't have homes to give to the bank as collateral to take credit. They got no means of taking larger money to increase their business. So at the end of the day, they are selling for the Lebanese. I'll give you an example in Guinea. If you get in store in Guinea, you buy dozens of cartons. And those are on the table. The petty traders are the ones who sell half dozen and half dozen. Then the guys who go around, they sell one. But in Liberia, you will buy a dozen of cartons from this level, and somebody enter the store and buy one. So when do I receive customers? They even pay the money that I took from financial club at the end of the day. So the economic situation is not helping because the government is not sitting together, knows what effect it is in. We just look at it from the top. And looking at it from the top, the Lebanese guys will just come, take money. That's the kind of monkey theory using. They will not bring money from Lebanon. They will use one of the houses we get here, renovate it, and use it as a collateral, take money from the bank, and start to use our people with it. So prices here, it's not stable. Today, you're going to hear the rate is 135. The next time, 140, 150. And as the rate goes up, prices goes up. But the unfortunate part about it, when the rate drops, the prices remain the same. No price control. There is no price control. And we have to sit and learn from the sub-region. When Secretary got ready for the Guinean, he said, I'm nobody was traveling out of Guinea. Anything you want, produce it. If we believe that rice is our staple food, we got Nimba, we got Lofa, we got grain Jida, we got to start that so we need to sit down and invest into our culture. That's the only way we'll be able to own our economy.
Right. So Mr. Glee, I know these are problems that are, what is the solution? Is it a government solution? Or what can we do? One, the government got a role to play because the government regulates prices. Randolph cannot regulate prices. Allow me to understand this. One thing I see the government should do, why is it that you're telling people, why is it that we have two currencies? Why we can't use one? Right. Why we can't use one currency? If you believe the Liberian currency is not better, use the US dollar. If you believe you want to use the Liberian dollar, use the Liberian dollar. But
believe the government is not paying me in US dollars. Taxes, you tell me that this is $20 US.
Right.
What the hell US money to take US money when you're not paying me in US?
Mr. Glee, I got a question here. There's a question on Facebook from Mr. Jeremiah Morba. He said there had been serious security concerns in the past few months. Serious security concern. What are some of the measures the government is putting into place? I know we discussed some of those issues, but again, it comes back to what is government doing? What are the measures being put into place? Even if they are not investigating and bringing the perpetrator to justice, what are they doing to prevent others from happening?
I think it was last on Thursday or Friday, the Senate invited the head of the company, and they told them to come with all of the senior staff this week again. They called them to the Senate invited them, and they told them to go back and come with all of the senior staff, including the lawyer. So this week they're going to appear. But I believe most of the places they got those big companies like Saint David in Kidman. The Kidman, if you cannot employ them and you took off half of the country, the country from them to play in the farm, a hungry man is a hungry man. And you tell somebody stole a bunch of pan and you beat the man until the man, I don't know whether he's dead or what happened to him. What's wrong with you? I'm not encouraging you to speak. But a hungry man is a hungry man. What a corporate development form have you put into place to improve the ordinary life of the people who dwell in the community? But thank God that the Senate invited them, and we're looking up to this week what we're going to tell them. Because our eyes open.
Exactly.
To send that way in
Mr. Glee, these things go back to concession agreements, which most of them, if we look at the Global Witness report, passed through the Senate. So it is possible that some of these people who were bribed, are now sitting on the case. Sometimes it becomes difficult. How do you bring these people to book? Very difficult.
It's just very simple. It's simple. If the government, the head of the government, wants transformation, it does not matter how many presidents who went through the process and what they got out of it. But now, if the government wants some change, you have to empower the dwellers in the community. You have, like the few days I met with the head of the guy who won the bid with the University of Liberia on that issue. And I told him, I said, look, the end user of this particular program that you just won is not your administration, it's the students. You have to get to them. You have to get to the student leadership. You have to talk to them. So those who got up places, the PD construction, you need to go back to the dwellers. Not beating them, not killing them because they take one bunch of fun. That man need plan. He need to cook his pan brother. He need to eat something. And he never had it. He's not going to set out one bunch of pan to get $1 million out of it. Then you touch on him, a white man in Liberia with black Liberians doing that, it's so sad.
Right.
The government must take action. Because if you allow the citizens to take radical approach, those guys will not stay there. No amount of ERU or what ERU or what kind of police can go totally among the fans to go around and go. When the citizens get there, in fact, this time when they put their ready to riot, they don't even riot in the night. They riot in the day with the country there. So many, when they put the country there, if you're not a member, you can't go there. So you policemen will go inside with your gun.
Right. Okay. Mr. Glee.
Definitely sit and let have a run to go. Yeah.
Right. And quite recently, and we'll there's another question, but let's go on again, war crimes. Quite recently, there is an ex-combatant by the name Junko Jiba who was sent to 30 years imprisonment, okay, in Monrovia, in Philadelphia. I don't know, but how was that news received in Liberia? Did they send some shockwaves through other former warlords and other ex-combatants as to that it's possible that they too be brought to justice one day?
When the news hit, it's like it hangs a dark cloud over a few heads. Their involvement with our labor crisis.
Right.
So basically, it was held from some corner, and others were very careful about it. And now they're talking. Like for me, I think you follow my comment on Facebook. I said I'm disappointed with the current chairman of CDC, Malu. Mother Malu had months, years towing traffic, people for war crimes. The ball is right in your. You now have everybody. I thought one of your first advocates will be the war crime coach. He has said nothing about it. Because why? Dining and whining with all of people.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that news shook Monrovia. It set a deterrent for all of those criminals to go to court. It set a deterrent. And for me, I'm very happy. Those guys should have their days. Because now, what is happening now, people believe the more violent you are, the more you are rewarded with state power.
Yep.
But if you set that deterrent, people will be afraid to even take less, kill anybody, because they know they will have a day in court. But when that happens, we rewarded Chancellor, we rewarded Ellen, we now rewarded Prince Justin back to back. We now rewarded other work with cardinal position. So people believe the only way they can get cardinal position and become part of a bloody revolution. And I don't think that what we Liberians deserve. We are good people, we are nice, and we deserve better.
Mr. Awadjie, although Junko Jiba was not sentenced for war crimes in Liberia, it had to do with immigration issues. But what's your take on this whole war crime thing and also the sentencing of Junko Jiba? And we'll soon be drawing down our curtains.
Okay. Well, the issue with Junko, it's unfortunate that this man was not convicted of war crimes. It was on immigration matters. So I don't think most people are looking at it as what it should have been. You know, even though they brought in some victims from Liberia to come and testify against him as well, but nothing in his conviction is about war crimes. So he may do 10 years or 15 years, and he might be free. He might go out on parole. You know, because whatever he was sentenced, his sentencing had no connection to do with what he did in Liberia. So he could get out in about 10 years and still be roaming free in America if they don't deport him. You know, but I think that the idea of a war crime tribunal, I believe that people do have to pay for what they did in our country. You got a lot of people walking around in many Liberian communities around the United States today who did some terrible things in our country. And some of us don't even know them. Some of us don't even know who they are. So it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. But then it's just real quick, going back to the case that the other guest spoke about. These guys are being called to the Senate. I don't understand. I don't understand what that's all about. You know, this is a labor issue, and I think that where's the Ministry of Labor? I've been following the Ministry of Labor very close lately. You know, with the new minister, and I've been following some of the things that have been going. You know, but why isn't the Ministry of Labor and the Justice Ministry looking into this case? I don't know why they're bringing these guys to the Senate. You know. And then, you know, who knows? Some of these business people might even, you know, maybe some of these people even looking for bribes. Who knows? You know, why they going to the Senate? Why isn't the Ministry of Labor and the Justice Ministry investigating into this case?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
The Senate
it doesn't negate. Invited them. There was a video that circulated on Facebook about a child or a boy that was tortured.
Yeah.
Because he stole a head of a palm. Yes. So when the video circulated, they decided to invite them. And they gave their side of the story, and it was not satisfactory. So they said the whole staff, including the lawyer, should go there. It is not a riot because of the labor situation, bad labor practices, but it is a video. Because normally I'm not convinced ministry that's doing well since they took over.
I still don't understand what they have to do with the Senate. Even if it's a video, of somebody being tortured, that's for the justice ministry.
Right. So on top of the Senate too has the right to call the company and talk to them, anytime. But it doesn't stop the justice ministry.
Anytime. You can inquire them and ask them about what's going on and give them their thoughts.
All right.
That's the oversight responsibility.
Right. So if you are just joining us and we are about to close the broadcast, this is Around Liberia with Glee. We are discussing topical issues in the country with our Monrovia Bureau Chief, Mr. Randolph Glee. And right here, we are also discussing this with our analyst, Mr. Thomas Awadjie. This is a public service announcement from the Ghanaian Women Association of Georgia, known as GWAG. Their third annual maternity fundraiser is Saturday, April 28, 2018, from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Dorothy Benson Senior Center, that's where it's going to take place. That's at 6500 Venom Woods Drive, Sandy Springs, Georgia. Again, that's the Ghanaian Women's Association of Georgia. Their third annual maternity fundraiser. They have reached out to Liberian women, and so you are all invited. That's a fundraiser. It takes place Saturday, April 28th at 6 p.m. It will be held at the Dorothy Benson Senior Center. That's 6500 Venom Woods Drive, Northeast, Sandy Springs, Georgia. Attire is formal and traditional, and is $50 per person for adults. You will have dinner, there will be drink, and of course, there will be dance. Again, you are watching Around Liberia with Glee. Mr. Randolph Glee, before we draw down the curtains, just give us a summary or your final thoughts for the day as we talk about issues around the country.
All right, with all of the challenges, I'm encouraging all professional Liberians in and around Liberia. This is the only country we have. This is the only place that you'll never be deported. We need to think and program and strategize how we can contribute to work our country. America was not just built in a day. Rome was not just built in a day. There was a lot of struggle, even more than what we're going through. All of the difficult challenges and everything that we heard about should not deter you of coming back to your country. I spent years in the States. I'm back contributing. And I'm calling on all professionals, come and contribute in every area. So I don't think if you're afraid of that, then you can live in America. Because someone just get ready and get in the bus and shoot 20, 30 persons. You go on. You get on campus and take guns from the house and kill people. So that should not be an excuse that you just can't. But everywhere there are challenges. And everywhere you find head, there will be a lot of issues, but we can work together. And one good thing about Liberia, I'm not eating no processed food here. I'm eating organic food. And since I've been in Liberia, no one's sending me mail telling me, oh, this bill and everything. So this is our home. It's a place to be. With all of the challenges, we can still work it and make it a better place. Thank you, and I hope to see some of you guys coming down for us to help build this nation. Have a blessed time from our end.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Glee. Now I turn to you, Mr. Awadjie. There's a challenge there. Your final thought.
Thanks for having me on, as always. But I think Ronald said it all. Liberia is our country. We got to focus on rebuilding Liberia. There's a lot of challenges, but we have to step up to the challenge. I believe that President Weah, I believe that he loves his country. I believe that he's got a vision for the country, but I just think that we need a little more transparency with the public and the citizens. There's a lot of issues going on in Liberia that we can all contribute to, and we all have to contribute in any way we can. You know, we can't just sit back. You know, a lot of us sit back in the States and we do a lot of talking, but sometimes, you know, we have to step up. We got everything. We got every professional. We got everybody with the education level, the training, the background that we can contribute to rebuilding our country. Liberia is our home, and we have to focus on it, you know, for ourselves, for our children, and our grandchildren as well. So once again, I just want to say thank you for having me on, and thanks to Ronald for giving us some really good information from Liberia. And I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you for having me on again, Dan.
Thank you so much. And you guys could not say any better. Liberia is the only country that we have, and so we can all help to make it what we want it to be. So from all of us here at Focus on Liberia, my producer, Mrs. Yasendi Martin Peye, our guest relations manager, Mrs. Stephanie Setro, we want to say thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. And for all our guests on Facebook and also in Radio Land, we say thank you so much for being a part of this exercise. Until next time, my name is Dennis Ja, and I wish you all the best. Anytime, keep it tuned on Focus on Liberia. Is there